Thank you very much for coming here this evening. I'm honored to be joined by such a great crowd and so many friends. We're joined today by some members of our legislative team. I want to thank them for coming. State Senator Kathleen O'Connor Ives and State Representative Linda Dean Campbell. Thank you very, very much for coming. There's a representative here from Senator Ed Markey's office and Kate Mache, and I want to thank her for coming here this evening. There we go. Thank you very, very much. Representative Dempsey sends his regards. He's chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. There's a budget hearing tonight, and he's unable to make it. Tonight is a special night because tonight we tell you about the progress we've made in the past decade and about where we're going in the next. Now, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let's start tonight by looking at some pictures of the progress we've made and what the future might look like. Thank you very much. And don't those pictures say it all about the great progress we've made? We're joined tonight also by Denise Johnson from Nikki Songas's office. Thank you very much for joining us. As you saw, we started in the old shoe factory buildings, with buildings that had been abandoned for decades. We applied for and received nearly $2 million in brownfields money to clean up those sites. We rezoned to make it easier to develop residential housing. Then we worked with our great federal and state legislative delegation for infrastructure investment to bring money for a new boardwalk and a new parking garage. The Fifth Avenue Shoe Factory, as you saw, became the Cordovan. The Hamel Leather Factory became Hamel Mills Lofts. Tonight, we celebrate the fact that we have $150 million in new investment in our downtown, a new parking garage, a new boardwalk, and 850 new downtown residents, some of whom are here with us tonight. Tonight, we can see the fruits of our labor, and we can see the road ahead. That road ahead starts along Washington Street with the Havel Music Building. It's ready to break ground this spring. The road ahead takes us across the street to Washington Street, where the abandoned surplus office supply building, where the upper floors have been mostly vacant for 8 decades. Tonight, that building is being redeveloped into 19 upscale units, with retail and an artist loft on the first floor. The developer, Dan Tragworth, is here with us tonight. I'd like to introduce him. Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight, and thank you for your investment. The road ahead takes us next to Merrimack Street. A few years ago, we were informed of a great new project on Merrimack Street that would take the site of the old Woolworth building and put it back to productive use for the first time in 42 years. We worked with the City Council to rezone Merrimack Street to encourage density in projects that connected to the waterfront. Now, let me make it clear, the city didn't do this project. The development team, Representative Dempsey and Chancellor Meehan, did. We just wanted to make sure that government didn't step in the way. We wanted to make it easy, so we rezoned. But for this project to happen, it needed private sector investment, millions of dollars, and public infrastructure dollars. Public infrastructure investment was necessary because the old Woolworth building didn't have a single parking space, on street or off street. The only place that parking could be built was underneath, but it wasn't economically feasible for the private sector to build it. Public infrastructure dollars were needed to build parking and a new boardwalk. That public infrastructure investment came in the form of 3 MassWorks grants for a total of over $10 million. It came in the form of our city's investment of $6 million to fix the flood wall. Those investments allowed the project to build up to the height of the flood wall, put 150 parking spaces underneath, and for the first time in 75 years, allowed the public to see the Merrimack River from Merrimack Street. Now, this $10 million infrastructure investment didn't happen by accident. It happened because Haverhill has the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee on its side, and I want to publicly thank him here tonight, State Representative Brian Dempsey. But even this public sector investment wasn't enough. Jobs are created by the private sector. For this project, millions of dollars in private sector money was and still is required. That private sector investment came as a result of a partnership between the Greater Haverhill Foundation, which had had the foresight to buy the Woolworth building, and a group called the Planning Office of Urban Affairs. The Planning Office had invested in Haverhill earlier. They liked what they saw in terms of ease of permitting. We had set up, and they came back for more. Representatives of the Planning Office and the Foundation are here tonight. I'd like to introduce them and thank them for their investment in our city. Thank you very much. Ron. When Harbor Place is completed, it has all the potential to be one of the greatest projects in the history of our city. But there are still hurdles to overcome to make this project a reality. They're not on the goal line. We will all do our part to get us to the next step. The road ahead starts with Harbor Place, but it can't end there. Already this project has other people talking about doing more and making more investments in our city. Once again, public infrastructure investment helps to make this possible. Along the Bradford side of the river, that infrastructure investment means our rail trail. 2 years ago, we started an unfinished walkway along the water. Our goal over the next few years is to be able to finish construction of that phase of the trail and start on the next phase, to bring this trail all the way to the playground we put in next to the yacht club, and eventually all the way to the town of Groveland. There's more to do, but working together, our vision is that someday along the river on both sides, the public will be able to walk along and have a vista of our greatest asset, the Merrimack River. That vista has to be on both sides of the Merrimack. On the Haverhill side last year, we started opening up the view of the waterfront. This year, we'll give our citizens the best view of the Merrimack River they've had in decades. But our vision is much bigger than that. Our vision is that someday the entranceway along Water Street, the Water Street Greenway project, will be part of that emerald necklace all along both sides of the Merrimack. The road ahead for our city takes us next back to the river in Bradford, to a series of abandoned factory buildings whose names have all but been forgotten: Ornstein, Paperboard, Hoyt and Wortham. This year, the council joined with me in a comprehensive rezoning along the waterfront. Our hope and vision was that the rezoning would lead to people redeveloping those abandoned sites, just as a decade ago, rezoning helped entice people to develop the old shoe factory buildings downtown. I called it the start of the second Renaissance. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the Niskansen Development Team and the Util Architecture Planning Group, who will introduce a proposal to develop the Railroad Street lofts along the river in Bradford. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Thank you very much. This new project is the first to take advantage of those new zoning laws that we put into effect, but they will not be the last. We already have new interest, including today, along both sides of the river, including new interest in the Ornstein site. Later this week, I'll issue a new RFP for that site to make certain that we get the best value for our taxpayers. These new developments mean something to our citizens because they bring us new tax dollars. The new development downtown, the new developments, have brought in over a total of $772,000 in new tax revenue over the years. They've brought in new restaurants. Those restaurants and the new meals tax we put into effect have brought in a total of over $2 million in tax revenue. These revenues, combined with the money that our legislative team, led by Representative Dempsey, has brought us to deal with the Hale debt, and combined with the sacrifices and compromises of our great city employees, have allowed us to deliver improved services to our neighborhoods, even as we've struggled with the largest municipal debt in the history of our state. In those neighborhoods, our first job is to keep you safe. Last year, our budget added 4 new police officers. We had 2 retirements. We filled those 2 vacancies for a total of 6 new hires. We have some of those police officers here this evening, and I'd like to have them stand and be introduced. Officers Jarrett Weissenborn, Corey Baldera, Jillian Brignac, Brandon Sheehy, Brittany Birch, and Tiffany Maldonado. Welcome to a great city and a great force. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Later this spring or summer, I'll swear in an additional 11 new police officers to bring us to the highest number of patrolmen in years. And when I introduce my budget later this spring, we'll do even more. But just adding police isn't enough. We also have to make certain that we use them in the most efficient way possible. This year will be the first city, the very first in New England, to use new predictive analysis software to help us predict where and when crime is most likely to occur, so that these fine officers can work where they're needed the most. We'll put them in cars, we'll put them on bicycles, and we'll bring back foot patrols to our neighborhoods to continue to keep you safe every day. Now, keeping our city safe is our top neighborhood priority, but it's not our only one. We also have to keep our neighborhoods clean. Last year, we patched more potholes and swept more streets than ever before. This year, we'll add a new street sweeper, and just today, I signed the order to buy a new pothole patching machine called a Hotbox to fix potholes in every neighborhood in the city. Keeping a city clean is a partnership. We'll do our part, but part of what we do is to make certain that everyone plays by the rules. To help us do our part, we've reorganized our Inspectional Services Department. For the first time in over a decade, we have a Director of Inspectional Services whose only job will be inspectional services. He's joined us here this evening. Please welcome our new Director, Richard McDonald. We've also obtained a state grant to hire a new vacant property manager to tackle those abandoned and vacant buildings that can run down an entire neighborhood. Our vacant property manager is also here with us tonight. Please welcome our new vacant property manager, Pedro Soto. Welcome. Today, under their leadership, we've registered 139 vacant properties, brought in over $44,000 in registration fees. 3 vacant properties have been demolished, 8 have been put into receivership, and 107 properties have been inspected and repairs have been made. Now our newly reorganized Inspectional Services team has a new goal: restart the code team so that we have a coordinated attack on blight with these new police officers we'll be putting out into the neighborhoods. Keeping every neighborhood safe and clean is a challenge, but there's another challenge. Do it in such a way that we keep our city affordable. Last year, we were able to tax below the levy limit for the first time in 13 years. We hope to be able to do that again this year and set a trend. We'll tax less than we're able to. All of this, a stable tax rate, new growth and development, a new rail trail, new police, and a clean city are important. But if the road ahead is to be bright for generations to come, if we want to be more than just okay, if we want to be a really great city, then there's one more task ahead. Our most important task of them all, improve our schools. Now make no mistake about it, we've made progress. The high school we saw a decade ago, the high school with leaky roofs, broken bathrooms, the high school with science labs that hadn't worked in a decade, the high school that was on accreditation probation and on the verge of becoming only the second high school in the state to lose its accreditation, that high school is gone forever. It's been replaced in the same building by a new fully accredited modern high school of tomorrow. That high school is our flagship school, but we haven't stopped there. Today we have all-day kindergarten, our MCAS scores are up, our graduation rates are up, our dropout rate is down, but make no mistake about it, there's more to do in public education and we intend to do it. Part of what we need to do is to provide our children with a good, clean, and safe learning environment. To make this happen, a decade and a half ago, we redid the Nettle School and provided the children of Riverside with a brand new school. Last year, we spent $6 million with the help of the state's Green Schools Initiative to replace boilers in the Walnut Square and Constantino schools, replace windows in the Constantino and Whittier schools, replace roofs in the Tilton and Walnut Square schools. Last year, with city and school money, we finished our high school project with $1 million technology update to make us the high-tech school of tomorrow. But there was one school we couldn't fix. There was one school where 2 sets of engineers told us we had to replace it. That school is the Hunking School. The best and most economical way to upgrade that school is to replace it. The only way to pay for this is what I call a debt extension. A little over 2 decades ago, the voters approved a debt exclusion to build 4 new elementary schools. That debt exclusion increased taxes on average by $70 per year for the average residential taxpayer. Now that debt exclusion is set to expire. We're not going to ask any of you citizens for more on your taxes to build a new Hunking School. We are going to ask you to allow us to keep that $70 and to reinvest it in a new Hunking School. Over the next few months, the parents will be before you and will make their case to you. All I ask tonight is that you listen to them and give them a fair hearing. I believe that if you do, you'll conclude, as I have, that extending that earlier debt exclusion will improve our property values throughout the city, and that it's the best path for our city. I think you'll conclude, as I did, that we need a new Hunking School, and we need it now. This decision and the road ahead is in your hands. Over the next few months and few years, we'll all make decisions about the type of city we want for our future. Together, we will shape the road ahead. I can't tell you with certainty every twist and turn that the road ahead will take, but I can tell you with certainty here tonight, the road ahead looks bright. And I can report to you tonight with certainty, the state of our city is strong. Thank you very much for coming here this evening. Thank you.